Captain Hyunwoo Kim stood on the bridge of the UES Harmony, watching the blue-green planet Theta Prime grow larger on the main screen. 3 years had passed since humanity first made contact with the Galactic Council, and every day felt like walking on thin ice. The aliens saw humans as weak and primitive, and Hyunwoo worked hard to keep it that way. "Captain, we're getting a message from the Vorthak command ship," said Commander Jimin Park from her station. Her voice was calm, but Hyunwoo could see the tension in her shoulders. Dealing with the Vorthak always put everyone on edge. "Put it through," Hyunwoo replied, straightening his simple uniform. The Harmony looked like humanity's best effort at a starship, but to alien eyes it was clearly outdated and weak. That was exactly what they wanted the aliens to think. General Krextar's ugly face filled the screen. The Vorthak looked like giant lizards with too many teeth, and Krextar was particularly nasty even by their standards. "Human Captain," he said in his growling voice, "you will deliver your tribute to the station immediately. Do not waste our time with your pathetic attempts at negotiation." Hyunwoo bowed his head slightly, playing his role perfectly. "Of course. General, we are grateful for the Galactic Council's protection. Our cargo holds contain the finest Earth has to offer." Krextar laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Finest? Your world produces nothing but simple metals and basic foods. You should be thankful we allow you to exist at all." "We are, General. Very thankful." Hyunwoo kept his voice humble and respectful. Behind him he could feel his crew's anger, but they all knew the game they were playing. After the transmission ended, Dr. So-Young Lee approached from her station. She was supposedly the ship's simple medical officer, but her real job was much more important. "Another successful scan, Captain," she said quietly. "I've mapped their entire cardiovascular system. Amazing how they trust our primitive medical scanners." "Excellent work, Doctor." Hyunwoo smiled slightly. Over the past 3 years, Dr. Lee had gathered complete biological data on 17 different alien species. Every diplomatic meeting, every medical emergency, every friendly cultural exchange had been an opportunity to learn their weaknesses. The Harmony docked with the orbital station, and Hyunwoo led a small team to deliver Earth's tribute. The station was massive, built by the crystalline Zethkari with their advanced construction methods. To human eyes, it was impressive but not impossible to build. Earth's hidden shipyards could construct 10 such stations in a month. Ambassador Tae-hyun Song met them at the docking bay. He looked nervous and overwhelmed, just like a primitive human should when surrounded by advanced aliens. "Captain Kim," he said, shaking hands formally, "I hope the journey was peaceful." "Very peaceful, Ambassador. The Galactic Council's protection ensures safe travel for all species." The words tasted bitter, but they were necessary. They walked through the station's corridors, passing dozens of different alien species. The tall, thin arachnids clicked their mandibles in conversation. The floating ethereals drifted past in their environmental suits. The heavily armored Corvins stomped by on their 6 legs. Each species looked at the humans with a mixture of amusement and pity. In the cargo bay, they unloaded Earth's tribute. Refined metals, agricultural products, and art objects filled the containers. To alien eyes, it looked like the desperate offering of a primitive world trying to buy protection. In reality, every item contained hidden sensors and communication devices. "Is this all?" asked the Vorthak cargo supervisor, his voice full of contempt. "Your entire world can only produce this much?" "I'm afraid so," Ambassador Song replied sadly. "Earth's resources are limited and our technology is basic." The supervisor laughed. "Basic? You barely qualify as a spacefaring species. If not for the Council's mercy, you would still be trapped on your little blue world." Hyunwoo watched the exchange carefully. Every insult, every laugh, every casual display of alien superiority was being recorded and analyzed. Earth's military planners studied these interactions constantly, looking for patterns and weaknesses in alien psychology. Later, in the privacy of Ambassador Song's quarters, the masks came off. "How are the colonies?" Hyunwoo asked. "Thriving. Beyond all projections, Song replied, his nervous manner completely gone. Kepler 442b just finished their third fusion reactor complex. Proxima Centauri b is producing antimatter at full capacity. The aliens think we're struggling farmers, but we're actually building the largest industrial network in the galaxy. And security? Perfect. The Sekthar patrol ships scan our colonies regularly, but they only see what we want them to see. Agricultural domes, mining equipment, simple living quarters. The real facilities are all underground or cloaked. Dr. Lee pulled out a small device and ran it over the room, checking for listening devices. Clear, she announced. I've also completed my analysis of Theta Prime's ecosystem. If we ever need to neutralize this station, I know exactly which atmospheric processors to target. Commander Park smiled grimly. The Vorthak ship that escorted us here has 17 critical weaknesses in its shield grid. Their weapons are powerful but slow to recharge. A properly equipped human frigate could disable it in under 2 minutes. Let's hope it never comes to that, Hyunwoo said, though they all knew it probably would. The aliens were becoming more aggressive, more demanding. The Sekthar had been making threats about correcting human expansion. The Vorthak talked openly about enslaving entire human colonies. Ambassador Song activated a secure communication link to Earth. Admiral Dong-Hyun Choi's face appeared on the small screen, transmitted through a network of quantum relay stations that the aliens couldn't detect. Status report, the Admiral said simply. The masquerade continues, Song replied. They suspect nothing. Alien confidence in their superiority remains absolute. Good. The final preparations are almost complete. Operation Looking Glass will be ready within 6 months. Hyunwoo felt a chill of anticipation. Operation Looking Glass was humanity's contingency plan, the moment they would drop all pretense and reveal their true capabilities. For 50 years, Earth had been preparing for this day, building weapons and ships far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Any changes to the timeline? Admiral Choi asked. The Sekthar are becoming more aggressive, Dr. Lee reported. Their military commanders talk constantly about teaching humans their proper place. I estimate they'll move against our colonies within 3 months. Then we'll be ready for them. The Admiral's expression was cold and determined. Continue the mission. Make them think we're weak, helpless, and grateful for their protection. When the time comes, their shock will be complete. The transmission ended, and the 4 humans sat in silence for a moment. Tomorrow they would put their masks back on, play their roles as primitive beings grateful for alien mercy. But underneath, they were counting down to the day when the galaxy would learn what humanity really was. Outside the station's windows, stars glittered in the darkness. Among them, hidden in the void, Earth's true fleet waited patiently for orders that would change everything. The message arrived at exactly 0347 Earth Standard Time. Lieutenant Yejin Nam was monitoring communications aboard the UES Harmony when the emergency beacon activated. Her blood ran cold as she read the automated distress signal from Ross 1 and 28. "Be Captain Kim to the bridge immediately," she announced over the ship's communication system. Her voice was steady, but inside she was screaming. Captain Hyunwoo Kim arrived within minutes, still pulling on his uniform jacket. "What's the situation?" "Ross 128B colony has gone silent, sir. Last transmission was a general distress call, reporting Sekthar ships in orbit." Yejin's hands shook slightly as she transferred the data to the main screen. The signal cut off mid-sentence. Commander Jimin Park joined them, her face grim. "How many colonists?" "Official records show 2,847 civilians," Yejin replied, emphasizing the word official. Everyone on the bridge knew the real numbers were very different. Dr. So-Young Lee ran a hand through her hair. "The Sekthar have been threatening to correct human expansion for months. It looks like they finally acted on it." On the surface, the bridge crew appeared shocked and frightened. Underneath, they were following a script they had rehearsed dozens of times. Every human colony had evacuation, procedures, and contingency plans. Ross 128B was no exception. 12 hours later, Sekthar military broadcasts began flooding the galactic communication networks. Admiral Veshkar of the Sekthar hegemony appeared on screens across known space, his reptilian features twisted in satisfaction. "Let this be a lesson to all who would challenge Sekthar authority," he announced. "The human colony on Ross 128b has been cleansed. Their pathetic resistance lasted mere hours. We have claimed this world for the hegemony." The broadcast showed footage of burning buildings and scattered bodies. Sekthar soldiers marched through empty streets, their weapons scanning for survivors. The colony appeared completely destroyed, another example of alien superiority over primitive humans. Yejin watched the footage carefully, noting details that only she and her colleagues would understand. The bodies were positioned too perfectly. The damage patterns were too uniform. The Sekthar soldiers moved like they were following a predetermined path rather than conducting a real military operation. "Magnificent work," she whispered to herself. The colonists had followed their evacuation protocols perfectly. Every death was a carefully crafted hologram. Every body was a biomimetic dummy designed to fool alien sensors. The real colonists were safely hidden in underground bunkers that didn't officially exist. Admiral Donghyun Choi received the news aboard the EDF Retribution, hidden deep in Sol's Oort cloud. The massive dreadnought was invisible to alien sensors, cloaked by technology that made their stealth systems look like children's toys. "Phase 1 is complete," reported Commander Bo-Ram Seo from the tactical station. "The Sekthar have taken the bait perfectly. They believe they've won a great victory against helpless colonists." "Casualties?" Admiral Choi asked, though he already knew the answer. "0. All colonists evacuated according to protocol. The biomimetic corpses are performing perfectly." Sekthar scans read them as genuine human remains. Admiral Choi nodded, grimly. Operation Looking Glass had anticipated this moment for years. Every human colony was prepared for alien aggression. The settlements that aliens could see were just the surface layer, hiding vast underground complexes and hidden population centers. What about their military assessment? "The Sekthar are broadcasting their analysis across all channels," Commander Seo replied. "They believe human military capabilities are even weaker than expected. Their reports claim our colonists fought with primitive projectile weapons and showed poor tactical coordination." "Perfect. Begin Phase 2. I want every intelligence asset monitoring alien reactions. This event will ripple through the entire Galactic Council." On the diplomatic station, Theta Prime, Ambassador Taehyun Song delivered his performance of a lifetime. Standing before the Galactic Council's emergency session, he appeared broken and desperate. Exactly what the aliens expected from a primitive species that had just lost a colony. "Honored council members," he began, his voice shaking with carefully rehearsed emotion. "We come before you seeking justice for the unprovoked attack on our peaceful colony. Our people were farmers and miners, not soldiers. They posed no threat to anyone." General Krekstar of the Vorthak laughed openly. "Threat? You humans couldn't threaten a sick child. Your colony was weak, your defenses pathetic. Perhaps this will teach you to know your place in the galaxy." Several other alien representatives chuckled or made sounds of agreement. The crystalline Zethkari chimed in harmonious amusement. The floating ethereals whispered among themselves in their strange musical language. "We ask only for the return of our world and compensation for our losses," Song continued, playing his role perfectly. "You ask for what you have no power to take," Admiral Veshkar responded via hologram. "Ross 128b belongs to the Sekthar now. Your people died because they were weak. That is the law of the galaxy." The council session continued for hours, but the outcome was predetermined. The aliens offered meaningless words of sympathy while making it clear that might made right in their civilization. They saw the attack as a minor border adjustment, not worth serious intervention. Meanwhile, hidden throughout the galaxy, human intelligence networks went into overdrive. Every alien military communication was intercepted and decoded. Every strategic planning session was recorded. Every casual conversation between officers was analyzed for useful information. Captain Min Ho Jang of the stealth frigate Ghost of Terra watched from just outside sensor range as Sekthar fleets celebrated their victory. His ship was completely invisible, using technology that wouldn't be developed by alien science for another century. "They're getting sloppy," reported his tactical officer. "The victory celebrations are revealing their fleet positions, communication protocols, and command structure. Intelligence is going to love this data. Keep recording everything," Captain Zhang ordered. "Every laugh, every boast, every moment of overconfidence. When the time comes, we'll remind them of exactly how superior they thought they were." Dr. Haiwan Kim, Earth's leading xenopsychologist, studied the alien reactions from her hidden facility on Europa. The patterns were exactly what her models had predicted. Overwhelming confidence led to carelessness. Belief in their own superiority made them blind to any possibility of human strength. "The psychological profile is perfect," she reported to Earth Command. "Every major alien species has now demonstrated the fatal flaw we've been counting on. They literally cannot conceive of humanity as anything other than weak primitives. This cognitive blindness will be their downfall." The news of Ross 128b spread through human space like wildfire, but not in the way aliens expected. Instead of panic and despair, there was cold anger and grim determination. Every human world increased their military readiness. Every hidden facility began final preparations. Back on the Harmony, Captain Hyun-woo Kim held a private meeting with his senior staff. In the secure briefing room, away from any possible alien surveillance, they could speak freely. "The Sekthar have crossed the line," he said simply. "Ross 128b was the trigger event we've been expecting. How long until we drop the masquerade?" "Earth Command estimates 6 weeks," Commander Park replied. "Final fleet positioning is almost complete. The Sekthar victory celebration has given us perfect intelligence on their dispositions." Dr. Lee smiled grimly. "I've finished my biological warfare protocols for all 17 alien species. If we need them, I can design targeted pathogens that will incapacitate their military forces without permanent harm to civilians." "And the political situation?" "Developing perfectly," Lieutenant Nam reported. "The aliens are so confident in their superiority that they're planning additional attacks. Intelligence suggests the Vorthak are considering enslaving entire human colonies. They think we're too weak to resist." Captain Kim nodded slowly. For 3 years they had endured insults, threats, and condescension. They had smiled and bowed while aliens laughed at human weakness. But every laugh had been recorded. Every threat had been analyzed. Every display of alien arrogance had revealed another weakness. "Signal Earth Command," he said finally. "Tell them the provocation phase is complete. The aliens have shown their true nature. Now they'll learn ours." Outside the ship's windows, stars glittered in the darkness. Hidden among them, the greatest military force in galactic history waited for orders to begin humanity's true introduction to the galaxy. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened 3 days after the Ross 128b incident. Ambassador Tae Hyun Song walked through the corridors of Theta Prime Station with measured steps, his expression carefully neutral. For 3 years, he had played the role of a nervous, overwhelmed primitive trying to navigate galactic politics. Today, that performance would end. Captain Min-ho Jang watched from his concealed position aboard the Ghost of Terra as alien ships gathered around. The station, Vorthak battlecruisers, Sekthar destroyers, and vessels from a dozen other species created an impressive display of military power. They had come to witness humanity's humiliation and formal submission. "All recording systems are active," reported his communications officer. "Every word, every gesture, every alien reaction will be preserved for history." "Good," Captain Zhang replied. "This moment has been 50 years in the making. No one will ever doubt what happened here." Inside the council chambers, representatives from 43 alien species took their places. The air was thick with anticipation and barely concealed amusement. They expected to see the human ambassador beg for mercy, perhaps offer additional tribute to prevent further attacks on human colonies. General Krextar of the Vorthak made no effort to hide his satisfaction. "The primitive human comes crawling back," he said to his aide loud enough for others to hear. Perhaps losing a colony will teach them proper respect. The crystalline Zethkari chimed in musical agreement. Their harmonious voices carried undertones of superiority that translated across species barriers. Even the usually diplomatic ethereals whispered among themselves about humanity's inevitable submission. Ambassador Song entered the chamber alone, carrying only a simple data pad. His usual entourage of nervous assistants was absent. Several alien representatives noticed this change, but dismissed it as the behavior of a broken leader who had lost hope. The council recognizes the human representative, announced the session. Moderator, a tall arachnid whose mandibles clicked with authority. Song walked to the central podium with steady steps. His hands did not shake. His eyes did not dart nervously around the room. For the first time since humanity had joined the galactic community, he looked directly at the alien representatives as equals. Honored members of the Galactic Council, he began, his voice clear and strong. I come before you today to address the unprovoked attack on our colony at Ross 128b. Admiral Veshkar of the Sekthar interrupted with a growling laugh. Unprovoked? Your people expanded into space that rightfully belongs to superior species. The correction was necessary and just. Song turned to face the Sekthar representative, directly, his expression unchanged. 2,847 innocent civilians were killed in your attack. Their only crime was trying to build peaceful lives on a world that threatened no one. Peaceful? General Krextar stood from his seat, his massive frame towering over the chamber. Your entire species is an insult to galactic civilization. You contribute nothing of value and consume resources better used by your betters. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Corvin stamped their feet in approval. The slug-like gastropods secreted chemicals that indicated satisfaction. To them, this was simply the natural order being restored. Song waited for silence before continuing. The deaths of our people on Ross 128b were unacceptable. We formally request the immediate withdrawal of Sekthar forces from human space and reparations for the lives lost. The chamber erupted in laughter. General Krextar's voice boomed above the others. Request? You are in no position to request anything, human. What will you do if we refuse? Send your single primitive ship against our armadas? Song looked directly at the Vorthak general, his expression perfectly calm. When he spoke, his words carried across the chamber with crystal clarity. We will stop pretending to be polite. The laughter began to fade as aliens processed what they had heard. The tone of the human's voice was different. Gone was the nervous deference they had grown accustomed to. In its place was something that made several species shift uncomfortably in their seats. Pretending? The ethereal representative's voice carried confusion. You speak in riddles, human. No riddles, Song replied. For 3 years we have followed your customs, accepted your insults, and submitted to your demands because we hoped to find friends among the stars. Instead, we found bullies, tyrants, and predators who mistake patience for weakness. Dr. Haiwan, Kim, monitoring from her secure facility on Europa, watched the alien psychological profiles update in real time. Confusion was replacing amusement. Several species were beginning to show signs of unease as their certainty in human weakness wavered. Admiral Veshkar rose from his seat, his reptilian features twisted in anger. You dare threaten the Sekthar hegemony? Your entire military consists of one outdated ship and planetary defense systems from the last century. Our military consists of what we have chosen to show you, Song replied calmly. Nothing more, nothing less. The chamber fell silent. For the first time in the session, no alien representative laughed or made sounds of amusement. Something in the human's tone suggested depths they had not previously suspected. General Krextar's voice carried less certainty than before. You speak boldly for a primitive who has never seen real war. Song activated his data pad and gestured to the chamber's main display screen. A star chart appeared, showing human space and the surrounding regions controlled by various alien species. For 50 years humanity has been mapping this galaxy, Song said, his voice carrying clearly through the silent chamber. Every star, system, every trade route, every military installation. We know where you live, how you think, and what you fear. The display zoomed in on specific locations: Vorthak military academies, Sekthar weapons facilities, Zethkari crystal gardens. Each image was clearly taken from close range by advanced reconnaissance equipment. "This is impossible," whispered the arachnid moderator. "Your technology cannot achieve such detailed surveillance." "Our technology is exactly what we have allowed you to observe," Song replied. "Every diplomatic meeting, every cultural exchange, every moment you spent laughing at human primitiveness was an opportunity for us to study you." Captain Zhang aboard the Ghost of Terra watched alien body language shift from amusement to confusion to the first hints of fear. His tactical officer was recording everything, but the psychological impact was already visible. "You lie," Admiral Veshkar snarled, but there was uncertainty in his voice. "No primitive species could maintain such deception. The Ross 128B colony that you destroyed was evacuated 6 hours before your ships arrived." Song continued relentlessly. "Every death you witnessed was a carefully crafted illusion. Your sensors detected exactly what we wanted them to detect." The silence in the chamber was now complete. 43 alien species sat frozen as their understanding of reality began to crumble. Song's next words were delivered with the weight of absolute certainty. "You have 72 standard hours to withdraw all forces from human space and issue formal apologies for your aggression. After that deadline expires, we will demonstrate what humanity looks like when we stop being polite." General Krexistar found his voice, though it lacked its previous confidence. "And if we refuse your ultimatum?" Song's smile was cold and utterly without warmth. "Then you will learn why we spent 50 years pretending to be weak instead of simply announcing our strength. Some lessons are best taught through experience." The human ambassador closed his data pad and walked toward the chamber exit. At the doorway, he paused and turned back to face the assembled aliens. 72 hours, he repeated. "Use that time wisely. Decide whether you want to be part of a civilized galaxy, or examples of what happens to those who choose otherwise." As Song left the chamber, the aliens sat in stunned silence. For the first time in galactic history, a species they had considered primitive and helpless had issued them an ultimatum. More disturbing was the absolute confidence with which he had delivered it. Dr. Hai-Won Kim watched the alien psychological profiles shift from confusion to fear to desperate denial. They would spend the next 72 hours convincing themselves that the human was bluffing, that no primitive species could possibly threaten their combined might. That belief would be their final mistake. Outside the station, Captain Zhang received a coded transmission from Earth Command. Operation Looking Glass was entering its final phase. Across the galaxy, hidden human fleets were receiving their deployment orders. The masquerade was ending. Soon, the aliens would see what humanity really looked like without the mask of weakness they had worn for so long. 72 hours passed with agonizing slowness. Admiral Veshkar of the Sekthar hegemony stood on the bridge of his flagship, the dominant Fang, watching the countdown timer approach 0. Around him, 300 of the most advanced warships in his fleet waited for orders to teach humanity its final lesson. "No response from the humans," reported his communications officer. "Their single diplomatic vessel remains docked at Theta Prime Station. No additional ships have been detected in their territory." Veshikar's reptilian features twisted in satisfaction. As expected, the primitive creatures hoped to frighten us with empty words. Today they learned the price of threatening the Sekthar hegemony. The fleet had assembled at the edge of human space, broadcasting their approach on all galactic frequencies. Other alien species watched with interest as the human problem was about to be permanently solved. The Vorthak had contributed additional ships to the force, eager to claim their share of human worlds. General Krextar commanded his own battle group from the massive dreadnought Inevitable Victory. "Remember," he transmitted to all ships, "we want some humans alive for slaves. Try not to destroy everything." Across the galaxy, trillions of beings watched the live feeds as the punishment fleet approached Earth's home system. The consensus: was universal. Humanity's brief period of insolence was about to end in predictable fashion. Admiral Dong-Hyun Choi received the final reports aboard the EDF Retribution, still hidden in Seoul's Oort cloud. "All fleets report ready," announced Commander Boram Seo. "Operation Looking Glass is cleared for execution." "Signal all units," Admiral Choi ordered. "The masquerade ends now." The first sign that something was wrong came when the Sekthar fleet reached the asteroid belt. Admiral Veshkar expected to find primitive mining stations and outdated defense platforms. Instead, his sensors detected nothing but empty space and floating rocks. "Where are their defenses?" demanded his tactical officer. Intelligence reports indicated extensive mining operations throughout the system. "Scan everything," Veshkar ordered. "The humans must be hiding behind their pathetic asteroid fortifications." The scans revealed exactly what they expected. Countless asteroids floating in predictable orbits, several small mining stations, and what appeared to be an ancient early warning satellite network. Nothing that could threaten a modern fleet. "Admiral?" The sensor operator's voice carried confusion. "I'm detecting some unusual energy readings from several asteroids. The signatures don't match any known mining equipment." Before Veshkar could respond, the asteroids began to change. The first transformation was subtle, a slight shimmer as advanced camouflage systems deactivated. Then the rocks began to unfold, revealing gleaming metal hulls beneath perfectly crafted holographic disguises. What had appeared to be a simple asteroid belt was actually the largest concentration of military vessels in galactic history. "Impossible," whispered the tactical officer as his screens filled with new contacts. "There are thousands of them." Admiral Choi's voice cut through space on an open channel that reached every ship in the Sekthar fleet. "Attention, alien vessels. You have entered human space without authorization. I am Admiral Dong-Hyun Choi of the Earth Defense Force. You have one opportunity to withdraw before we demonstrate why this was a mistake." Veshkar stared at the tactical display in disbelief. His 300 ships were surrounded by over 5,000 human vessels, each one radiating energy signatures that suggested technology far beyond anything in his database. "This is some kind of trick," he snarled. "Holographic projections, to make us think they have a real fleet." Commander Boram Seo aboard the Terra's Wrath opened a direct channel to the Sekthar flagship. "Admiral Veshkar, this is Commander Seo. Your sensors are not malfunctioning. You came here to punish primitives. Instead, you found something else entirely. What are you?" Veshkar's voice had lost all its earlier confidence. "We are what happens when a peaceful species spends 50 years preparing for war," Captain Gite Lim replied from the bridge of Newton's Fury. "We are what you created when you chose violence over diplomacy." The alien fleets throughout the galaxy watched in stunned silence as more and more human ships decloaked. Mining stations revealed themselves as weapons platforms. Orbital facilities shed their disguises to become massive battle fortresses. Even the space elevators extending from Earth's surface were armed with defensive systems that dwarfed anything in alien arsenals. General Krextar's voice crackled across all frequencies. "This changes nothing. Your ships may be numerous, but they're still primitive human technology. We will crush you as we always have." "Prove it," Admiral Choi replied simply. The Vorthak general, driven by pride and desperation, ordered his ships to attack. Energy beams and missile volleys streaked toward the nearest human vessels, weapons that had conquered dozens of worlds for the Vorthak Empire. The human ships didn't even bother to maneuver. Their shields absorbed the alien weapons fire without showing any signs of stress. Energy beams that could punch through asteroid-sized targets simply dissipated against defensive barriers that operated on principles alien science didn't understand. "Our weapons aren't penetrating their shields," reported Krextar's tactical officer. "The energy is being absorbed and redirected somehow." Captain Lim's voice carried across the battlefield with terrifying calm. "Our turn." The Newton's Fury fired a single weapon, a gravity lance that focused the fundamental forces of space-time into a concentrated beam. The target was the Vorthak heavy cruiser Merciless Conquest, one of the most advanced ships in their fleet. The effect was instantaneous and absolute. The massive warship simply ceased to exist as a functional object, its matter compressed into a sphere of collapsed space barely the size of a basketball. The gravitational shock waves rippled outward, causing nearby alien ships to tumble helplessly through space. "One shot," Commander CO announced to the galaxy. "One ship. This demonstration is being broadcast on all frequencies so every species can understand what you're witnessing." The alien fleets watching from across the galaxy fell silent. The Zethkari stopped their musical communications. The ethereals ceased their whispered conversations. Even the always chattering arachnids went completely quiet. Admiral Veshkar stared at the tactical display where the Vorthak cruiser had been. "What kind of weapon was that?" "Level 1 technology," Captain Lim replied. "We have 7 more levels we haven't shown you yet." Dr. Yoon Ji-yoon's voice cut through the shocked silence from her command center on Europa. "For the education of galactic civilization, I will now explain what you just witnessed. 50 years ago, humanity began preparing for this day. Every diplomatic contact was an intelligence-gathering operation. Every cultural exchange was an opportunity to study your weaknesses. Every insult you directed at us was recorded and analyzed. The holographic display systems throughout galactic space activated, showing the true scope of human preparation, hidden bases throughout the galaxy, quantum communication networks faster than anything aliens possessed, advanced manufacturing facilities that had been producing weapons while disguised as simple mining operations. The Ross 128b colony you destroyed never existed," Dr. Yoon continued. "It was a carefully constructed theater designed to provoke exactly this response. Every death you celebrated was a holographic illusion created to test your psychology." General Krextar's voice carried desperation. "You're lying. No species could maintain such deception." "The evidence is all around you, General," Admiral Choi replied. 5,000 ships that you never detected. Weapons that operate beyond your understanding. Technology that makes your most advanced systems look like children's toys." Admiral Veshkar's remaining ships began withdrawing without orders, their crews overwhelmed by the impossibility of their situation. Other alien fleets throughout the galaxy did the same, suddenly understanding that every assumption about human capability had been wrong. "This is your final warning," Admiral Choi announced to the galaxy. "Aggressive expansion ends today. Slavery is abolished. Trade will be conducted between equals, not masters and subjects. Any species that objects is welcome to test our resolve." The Sekthar fleet retreated in disorder, their formation broken by panic and disbelief. Behind them, the human fleet maintained perfect positions, demonstrating a level of tactical coordination that suggested computer-assisted command systems beyond alien comprehension. Captain Minho Jang aboard the Ghost of Terra recorded everything, knowing these images would reshape galactic civilization forever. "The masquerade is over," he reported to Earth Command. "They know what we really are now." As the alien fleets limped away from human space, a new reality settled over the galaxy. The species they had dismissed as primitive weaklings had just demonstrated military superiority so complete that resistance seemed pointless. In the depths of space, hidden human installations began revealing themselves throughout the galaxy. Bases that had operated in secret for decades suddenly announced their presence. The aliens discovered they had been living under human observation for their entire recorded history without ever realizing it. The age of alien supremacy was ending. The age of human guidance was about to begin. The news of the Sekthar fleet's humiliation spread through galactic civilization like a virus. On every world, in every space station, across every communication network, the impossible footage played over and over. 300 advanced warships, fleeing from humans they had come to destroy. General Krextar stood in the war room of the Vorthak High Command, his massive frame trembling with rage and disbelief. Around him, his military advisors studied tactical displays that showed the true scope of human space. What they had thought was a handful of primitive colonies was actually a vast network of industrial worlds protected by technology they couldn't understand. "Impossible," he growled for the 100th time. "No species develops that quickly. 50 years ago, they were barely capable of spaceflight. The evidence suggests otherwise, General, replied Admiral Toxvar, his aide. Our intelligence networks throughout the galaxy are reporting human installations in sectors we thought were empty. They've been watching us for decades. Then we destroy them all. Krextar slammed his fist on the tactical table, causing the holographic display to flicker. Mobilize every fleet, every ship, every weapon in Vorthak space. If humans think they can threaten us with parlor tricks, they will learn the price of challenging a real military power. The mobilization order went out across the Vorthak Empire. 2,000 warships, the largest fleet in their history, began converging on the border of human space. Ships that had conquered entire species, weapons that had shattered planets, soldiers who had never known defeat. Dr. Yoonji Yoon watched the Vorthak mobilization from her facility on Europa, her screens displaying intelligence gathered by human assets throughout alien space. Every ship movement, every communication, every strategic planning session was being monitored and recorded. They're reacting exactly as predicted, she reported to Admiral Choi. Complete denial followed by overwhelming force. The psychological profile suggests they literally cannot accept reality. How long until they reach our border? Admiral Choi asked. 48 hours. General Krextar is commanding personally from the inevitable victory. He's broadcasting on all frequencies, calling for other species to join him in destroying the human threat. Admiral Choi nodded grimly. And the response? Mixed. The Zethkari are staying neutral. The Ethereals are withdrawing their fleets to defensive positions. But the Corvin and gastropods are contributing ships to Krextar's force. Total enemy strength is estimated at 2,200 vessels. Against our full fleet? Dr. Yoon smiled coldly. General Krextar doesn't know about our full fleet. He thinks he faced our entire military at the asteroid belt. He has no idea what's waiting for him. Captain Jae-Sung Park of the stealth carrier, Silent Hunter, watched the Vorthak fleet approach from his concealed position. His ship was one of hundreds, positioned throughout human space, invisible to alien sensors and ready to reveal the true scope of human military power. They're still broadcasting propaganda, reported his communications officer. Krextar is promising his troops an easy victory against primitive human tricks. Let him keep believing that, Captain Park replied. Confidence makes better footage when it turns to panic. The Vorthak fleet entered human space with fanfare and ceremony. General Krextar had arranged for galactic media to broadcast the battle, wanting every species to witness the restoration of proper order. He expected to find the same human ships that had ambushed the Sekthar, probably hiding behind their asteroid disguises again. Instead, he found something that shattered his understanding of military science. Where the earlier engagement had involved 5,000 human ships, the force waiting at the edge of Sol system numbered over 10,000. Massive dreadnoughts that dwarfed anything in Vorthak design floated in perfect formation. Carriers launched fighter craft that moved with impossible speed and agility. Weapons platforms the size of space stations tracked the incoming alien fleet, with systems that penetrated every stealth technology. This is not possible, Krextar whispered, staring at the tactical display. No species maintains fleets of this size. Admiral Youngsik Oh of the Terra Invicta opened communications across all frequencies. His voice carried the weight of absolute authority. General Krextar, you have entered human space with hostile intent. This is Admiral Oh of the Earth Defense Force. You have 1 hour to withdraw all forces and issue formal apologies for your aggression. 1 hour? Krextar's voice cracked with strain. You face the combined might of 4 species. We will not be intimidated by human illusions. These are not illusions, General. Every ship you see is real. Every weapon is functional. Every system is currently targeting your fleet with precision that your computers cannot calculate. Captain Da-Yoon Choi of the patrol cruiser, gentle reminder, added her voice to the communication. We've been watching your approach for days, General. Your fleet formation, your command protocols, your weapon systems. We have complete tactical analysis of every ship under your command. The Vorthak general's mind reeled as he tried to process what he was seeing. The human fleet wasn't just larger than anything he had imagined. It was organized with a level of coordination that suggested technological integration beyond alien comprehension. "You're bluffing," he said, but his voice lacked conviction. "Your weapons cannot be as advanced as you claim. Shall we demonstrate?" Admiral O's tone was utterly calm. "We can disable your entire fleet without destroying a single ship. Your crews will survive to tell their people what they witnessed here." "Disable? You cannot disable Vorthak warships." "Captain Park," Admiral O addressed the silent hunter, "please educate the general." The stealth carrier decloaked directly, above the Vorthak formation, so close that its shadow fell across multiple enemy ships. It launched a single device, a sphere of gleaming metal that drifted toward the alien fleet at walking speed. "What is that?" Krextar demanded. "Nanomachine. Swarm," Captain Park replied casually. "Designed specifically for Vorthak technology. Should reach your ships in approximately 30 seconds. The sphere reached the edge of the alien formation and dissolved into billions of microscopic machines. They spread through space like an invisible cloud, passing through shields as if they didn't exist, penetrating hull materials without causing damage. Within minutes, every Vorthak ship went dark. Engines stopped, weapons powered down, life support continued, but every military system simply ceased to function. "How?" Krextar's voice was barely a whisper. "We've been studying your technology for 50 years. Dr. Yoon's voice cut in from Europa. "Every diplomatic meeting where you showed off your superior systems was an opportunity to analyze their weaknesses. Every casual demonstration of Vorthak engineering taught us how to neutralize it. The allied ships from other species began withdrawing. Immediately, their crews terrified by the casual display of human capability. The Corvin vessels activated emergency broadcasts, begging their homeworlds for instructions. The gastropods released distress pheromones that could be detected across star systems. Admiral O's voice carried across space with the finality of a judge passing sentence. "General Krextar, your fleet is completely disabled. Your allies have abandoned you. Your homeworlds are defenseless against weapons you cannot comprehend. Do you still believe humans are primitive?" The Vorthak general stared at his darkened screens, his empire's most powerful fleet reduced to floating scrap by technology that operated beyond his understanding. Around him, his bridge crew sat in stunned silence. "What do you want?" he asked finally. "The same thing we've always wanted," Admiral O replied. "Peace, trade, cooperation between species. The difference is that now these things will happen on terms of equality, not dominance." Captain Minho Jiang of the Ghost of Terra recorded, "Everything, knowing these images would be studied by military historians for centuries." The moment when alien supremacy died wasn't marked by massive explosions or epic battles, but by the quiet realization that resistance was futile. "Your ships will be restored to minimal functionality," Admiral O continued. "Enough power to return home and deliver our message. The galaxy will operate under new rules now. Aggressive expansion is forbidden. Slavery is abolished. Trade disputes will be resolved through negotiation, not force. And if we refuse?" Krextar's voice carried no defiance, only exhaustion. "Then you will discover what Level 2 human weapons look like. The demonstration you just witnessed was our most basic technology. We have capabilities that could sterilize entire star systems without harming a single innocent civilian. The threat hung in space like a physical presence. Every alien in the disabled fleet understood that they were witnessing the end of everything their civilizations had believed about power and dominance." Dr. So-Young Lee's voice added the final element to humanity's message. "We're also establishing the Galactic Medical Initiative. The same knowledge we use to map your weaknesses will now be used to cure diseases that have plagued your species for millennia. Cooperation brings benefits. Aggression brings consequences." One by one, the disabled ships began receiving minimal power, enough to navigate home, enough to communicate, enough to spread the word of what they had witnessed. The Vorthak fleet limped away from human space, their crews forever changed by the encounter.